Hey everyone, welcome back. And in this video we are going to create a responsive navigation bar by using only HTML and CSS without using a single line of JavaScript code. So this is our navigation bar here. It got some nice hover effect, and if we make the window size smaller, this is totally responsive. And now we got a hamburger icon here, and if we click it, all the menu items will be displayed, and again it will be gone. So without any further ado, let's get started. In here I have opened my project folder by the Visual Studio Code. This is the index.html. I got a simple boilerplate here. It also linked with this style.css. So at first let's create the markup. So we only need a navigation bar, so I'm just going to use a nav tag, which is a HTML5 semantic element, and inside this nav let's create a div with the class of logo. So it will contain the logo, and you can also put an image of PNG or anything, but in this case I'm just going to keep it simple and just use a text as a logo. After that I will add the another list which will contain the list item and navigation items. So inside this li I will just add an anchor tag, and it will be a hash to make it blank. And let's add some dummy text here, and we need more of them. So home, about, maybe project, blog, and contract. Let's save, and here we go. But for the first one we can add a class of active. We are going to use a CSS to style this active class and some hover effect. So for now this markup will do. Now let's move on to the style.css. At first I'm going to remove any existing margin padding for the browser. So margin 0, padding will also be 0, not auto. Box sizing will be border box. Now let's target the body here, and I will just give them a height of 100 viewport height, so it will take the entire height of the browser. Let's also give this a background to, I got a hexagonal color code here, so it will be D7DE5, so it is kind of grayish color. And after this background let's change the font family for this entire menu or this icon or logo here. So I will like to use the Roboto font. I already got the font installed in my computer, but if you don't have it, you can either go to the fonts.google.com and download and install the font, or you can just use an CDN link to that font or import that font from Google font. Okay, it will be Roboto, and let's also use a fallback font here, so sans serif. Now the fonts has been changed. After that let's target the nav here. I'm just going to use the display flags to align them. Also you can use float, but float is kind of backdated, and actually familiar with the flex too much, and I like to use flex. So let's make the display flex. Let's save. Okay, now in order to put them at the opposite sides, we can make the justify content and space between. Now they will be pushed at the left and right, because the space between the justify content will arc along the flex axis, and it will put all the spaces between these flex items. So we can add some padding. So we on the padding at the left and right, and also top to bottom. So for left and right we can use a percentage value, so it will be helpful for every display sizes. So at top to bottom let's try 15 pixels, and from left to right maybe 5%. So it will have 5% space of this total white at the left and right. Let's save. Now we got some gap at the left and right, and also at the top. So we need to also use the align items. Okay, align items should be center. Now they should be centered along the cross axis, or which is this axis here. We can also give this a background color of, I got the hexagonal color code, it is kind of bluish, on 8283B. Let's save. Now we cannot see the text color, we are going to change that. So let's target the logo in here and make the color to white. After that, let's increase the font size a little bit to 22 pixels. Now I just want to target the another list, which is this one, and we got the list style of circle, which is default. So I'll just make the list style none. Now it will be gone. Now let's target the list items, and in this case we want to make the display of inline block. So now by default they are block level elements, so they appear each other after each other in a horizontal plane, but now it will be aligned in a vertical plane because they are inline block. Now let's target the another list item and the anchor tag here. So we got a text decoration. I want to make the text decoration none. After that, let's change the color to kind of light color. Okay, again I got a hexagonal color code for that. It will be 8 to 9 on and F5. Okay, this is the color. So let's also add some paddings here for top to bottom, maybe 8 pixels, but from left to right let's make it 30 pixels, so they will have so much gap. Now let's also add a border radius. We don't see the effect of border radius now, but whenever we will add a background color, then it will be visible. So border radius, let's make it 7 pixels, so that will have a subtle rounded effect around the corners. Let's also add a transition here because we want to add an hover effect with that. All 0.3 second is okay, that will be it. After that, let's target another list item A and hover. Also we need to target the active one, A with the class of active. Now whenever they are active, we want the color to be total white. Okay, it is looking fine. Now let's also add a background with that. So background, let's make it 0075 and FF. Let's save, and this is looking great, this blue color. So I think we are done for this large size display. Now we want to add an icon of this hamburger icon actually. So whenever we are going to click that, it is going to be displayed. We can either use font awesome icon, we can use bootstrap icon or anything, but I don't think for this single icon we need to use the entire CDN for the font awesome library and so on. It will make this heavy. So I'll just going to use the hero icons. This is a good collection for SVG icons, so we can directly copy it and paste it here. So we want a logo, sorry, not logo, maybe menu. Okay, we got multiple options here, so I'll just go with this one. This is the typical hamburger icon. If you just click that, it is going to be copied as SVG. Now you can close this, and in the HTML, after this logo here, let's create an input field. So input type will be checkbox, and let's also give this ID of maybe checkbox. So this is the checkbox here, and we are also going to put a label with that, label for checkbox, because this will be the ID here. We can also add an ID of maybe icon. because we are actually going to use the icon in here. So I'm just going to press Ctrl V to paste the entire SVG code in here. We don't need the classes here. This W6 Ace-6 will be the classes for, actually it's for Tailwind. So now we got this, and it is actually invisible, but we are going to make it visible. So now let's target this SVG inside the label with the ID of icon. So it will be ID of icon, and we need to target the SVG. Let's change the color to total white color, triple F. Let's give it a height of 28 pixels. Let's save, and now we got this icon here. So we want to put a hover effect with that, so let's do that. I'm just going to target the icon, which is the container level of this SVG. So in this case, let's give it this a background color of this one, which is the blue color, this on here. And we can also add some padding. So I'm going to add separate padding set, because as you can see, the bottom has too much space than left and right and top. So from top, let's put 5 pixels, then there will be right, so 7 pixels, then there will be the bottom. Let's try 2 pixels or maybe 3 pixels, and again at the left 7 pixels. Now it looks fine. Now let's add some border radius with that, 4 pixels maybe. So whenever we put our mouse on that, it should be pointer. So let's change the cursor here to pointer. Let's save. Now we got the cursor. So now let's add a hover effect on both of these. So let's target the icon, and when I hover on that, let's change the background to total white. Now as it white, we want the bars to be kind of visible color, because by default it is white. Now again, let's target the icon, and when we hover on that, it is going to target the SVG and make the color to this one. Now it looks great. Now we need to add some transition to make it smooth. Transition all 0.3 second is, let's save. Okay, now we want to put this also with the SVG here. Now it looks great. So for this display, we actually don't this one and this one to be visible at all. So we are going to target those both. So we got the ID of checkbox with this input and ID of icon with the label. So let's target both of them, checkbox and also the ID of icon, and let's make it display none. Now it should be gone. Now let's inspect this, and I think they should look great in this breakpoint, which is 1024, but in this breakpoint it doesn't look good, so we can break it down to mobile friendly navigation bar. So we can actually add a media query for this breakpoint, so let's just do that. So media screen, and we want to add a maximum void here. The maximum void will be 768 pixels, which is this breakpoint. So whenever the display size will be smaller than 768 pixels, all the stylings inside this will be applied. So okay, I'm just going to make it small here. Okay, now at first let's target the another list here, and we want the another list to be totally invisible, but before that let's style it so we can make it a position of absolute. Now let's make the void of 100%, sorry, percent. Let's target the another list and list element to make the display block. Now there will be single in each line. Now in order to put this throughout the entire viewport, we need to give this a height of 100 viewport height. Let's also give this a background color of this one, actually not this one, we want the dark color, which is this one. Okay, now let's position it. So from left it will be 0, from top it will also be 0. Now it is okay. Now let's also make the text align to be center. Now they are at the center. Now let's add some padding with this list item here. So we can add some padding at top and bottom. So from top it will be maybe 10 pixels and left to right maybe 15 pixels. And after that let's target the anchor tags here, and we also make them to display block, otherwise it will only take this much space here. So after making this display block, it will take the interoid, and it actually looks kind of great. So I want to add some padding with that also. So from top to bottom 10 pixels, but from left to right we actually don't need any paddings because it is taking the interoid here. So 0. So it looks fine. Now I'm just going to make it display none. Now it should be gone. So in this viewport we want to display the icon here. So let's target the icon and make the display block. Let's save. Now here we go, we got the icon here. So whenever we click on that icon, this navigation bar should have displayed here. So what we are going to do is we are going to target the checkbox here, which is got this ID of checkbox. Then so ID of checkbox, and whenever it is checked we are going to target this another list here and make it display block. So it will be checked, and whenever it is checked we want to target the first sibling. So for targeting the sibling, the CSS has a selector with this one. Now we can target the another list and make it display block. Let's save, and whenever we click on that, this checkbox, which is currently invisible, is going to be checked, and whenever it is checked it is going to target the another list and make the display block. But before that it got a display of none. So let's see, now it is visible, but we need to put some gap at the top so we can view the icon here. So if we inspect this, we can see the exact value we need. So if you just select this on here and hover on that, you can see that it got the width of 750 pixels and a height of 70 pixels. So that's what we are going to target. So let's target the another list here and add a margin at the top of the same value, which will be 70 pixels. And now it is visible. So I also want to add some border my bottom with this navigation item. So let's target the nav here and let's add a border bottom. So let's give it on pixels solid and a value which I got the hexagonal code for 455 468. Okay, now it should be visible, but again if we look at that, it should be 71 pixels because we have added on pixels of border with that. Now it's 70 on pixels, so we need to add a margin top of 70 on pixels. Now it is visible, but as you already seen here, it got this horizontal scrolling bar. That's because we got the UL a height of 100 viewport height, but this 71 pixels is already taken by this navigation bar and it got a margin top of 71 pixels. So we can use the calc function of CSS to minus this 71 pixels with that 100 viewport height and give it a height of that amount of value. So let's do that. Calc, and we need to put a bracket here. So we need to minus 100 viewport height and minus this 71 pixels from 100 viewport height. Now there should not be any scroll bar here. Okay, actually this is totally responsive and works really fine. So in the next video I'm going to do the same thing with some extra effects by using HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and I will add the link of that video in the description below, so don't forget to check that out. Also I am going to add all of this in the Codepen. You will also find the link in the description. So thank you very much for watching this video so far. If you are not subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe. This is it for this video and see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.